proxy.
Yeah, the superworms actually get the flavor of whatever they're eating, so
wow.
they usually probably taste like that anyway. Because I know, like, if they eat dirt, if they're in dirt, they'll taste like dirt. Because I've eaten them.
That's why mine tastes like blueberries. I love to eat blueberries. I thought about doing that for my video. People were like, "Oh, you should eat some bugs." I would if I had to, but I don't know if I could just willingly eat a bug. But if I needed to, I would. Like they're putting sawfly larvae.
When I had my store, we would do this thing where when people would come in and they were like looking at something, but they weren't sure. When they weren't sure whether or not they were going to buy anything, we would just tell them that if you buy it today, like I'll eat a worm. Or I'll eat. And my manager at the time would say he would eat a pinky. And he had eaten them before, like chewing and everything. Oh, yeah. Gross.
No, I couldn't. I would just feel bad.
You know, it was like a $3,000 animal or something, and he'd be like, okay, I'll do it. It was worth it.
He said a lot now. He's like, keep throwing them out. Yeah. It's fun.
He'll keep eating them, too, until he throws up. He's a little brat.
I hope that doesn't happen.
Lucy has decided that she only likes fruit now, none of the veggies. And Ricky has decided the opposite, so it works well. But Lucy just panics and like runs from bowl to bowl, picking up every fruit piece that she can.
Oh my God.
And he's just sitting there eating the bugs like, you're crazy.
I like that they have a Skinny's fox. It's so appropriate.
Well, that was Luna's, but then I figured it's probably not a good idea for her to play with foxes in her mouth.
Yeah, that's true.
And took it away from her. I think those are one of the ones you put like a bottle in, right?
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I forget. I had one.
They all just look like a carcass to me. They're just like a skin carcass. Yeah. Build-A-Bear. Just take it down there and stuff them. You're eating every little
Yeah, he's going to get every single one of them because he didn't get his meal yet. I'll go make his bowl in a little bit.
I'll see if I can't wrangle her.
You said their staple is like high-protein, grain-free cat food?
Oh, well mostly
that's
bugs.
One of the, like, one of the things that people say, but it's better for them to have bugs than raw rabbit meat, and then like 10% is like the kibble and fruit and vegetables. It's a little closer to what they would eat naturally.
Yeah.
I've not overcome, but I've dealt with my fear of bugs.
Whatever makes them happy.
Yeah. I got some of the breeder W's.
Dubia.
I can never say it right. I don't know. But yeah, so I got some of them, and I'm not scared of them, but just the superworms freak me out.
I think the roaches look like a big pill bug. They're kind of cute.
They do.
Yeah.
Before they get their wings.
Yep. Yeah. They don't.
I have hissers in there that just had babies too, and I have a giant cave roach too.
Oh, I love those.
Or it might be a peppered roach. It's one of the two, but they're those big ones.
Yeah, we had a cave. I don't have any more. We had a cave roach, and when it died, we dried it out. We still have it. It's in a case.
I have a whole bunch of bugs in resin. You should show her.
Oh yeah, you love those.
I make those like when people send them to me.
Yeah.
So they'll find like dead bugs out, in their town or whatever, and then they'll mail them to me, and I put them in resin. Or sometimes they're pets, when they pass away, they'll have me do that.
That gecko, crested gecko that we got from the store.
Mm-hmm.
She, Hayden was playing with him, and she comes out like just sobbing her eyes out.
Uh-oh.
Like she was in here, but that was when he just had the cage in here and stuff. So she comes out crying, and like she wouldn't tell me what's wrong.
You stay.
Oh, no.
Luna, what are you doing? Are you misbehaving? Oh, you got my trash. You got my trash because I'm over there doing that stuff, and you want to come in there with us? You're not allowed in there because there's foxies in there. So you're going to make a mess? Luna the wolf dog, you little brat. Luna the brat dog, that's her new name. You always making messes. Ripping up papers from my lunch. Wolf dogs are brats. You can't go in there. You're not allowed. You're not allowed because you're going to eat the foxies. Let's get our little tripod thingy here so we can put the camera down there in the room.
Yeah.
I gotta go clean up some messes.
It's like smooth and weird. Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't look very appealing. Yeah. When I pulled up and you said, I was like, well, I know which house it is because the fox was in the window. It was easy to see, and the shadow was right there. It was so funny. It was adorable.
They love looking out the window.
Oh, I bet.
Aww.
They look so cute.
Did I tell you why her face is like that?
I vaguely remember something. What was the story?
Her mom like overgroomed her.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so she's always
She's a smirk.
Right. She's the least judgy of all my foxes, but the most judgy looking.
Yeah. It cracks me up.
She just sits in the corner like...
Yeah. It really does. It's funny.
You want to hold this just for a minute? Sure. I'm just going to go and clean up a little mess she made and I'll be right back.
Okay.
Because that's what she does.
Yeah.
I'll show you the hissers and the roach when I come back.
Oh, yeah.
You can see it. They're huge.
Awesome.
They're like bigger than they normally are.
Oh, cool. Maybe a hybrid even or something.
Yeah, I'll show you.
Okay.
He's got all the bugs. Oh, but they saved the tail. Or he saved the tail.
Oh, yeah. You're going to make a necklace?
Put in resin, I think.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Yeah, that made it a little bit less heartbreaking for her.
Yeah, that's kind of neat.
What are you guys doing?
What kind of temperature do they bask in there?
They prefer like really hot. So I'm not sure what he's got in there, but I keep the temperature in the room at my house about 80 degrees. 80 to a little above, but then they've got their different lights too.
Yeah,
so.
the basking area kind of.
Yeah. What is the matter, Mr. Attitude? And she's just like, ugh.
That little trill. What does that mean usually, do you know?
I don't know. Like, I can't read him as well as, like, I could tell you what everything means with Lucy and Ricky, but, and with Tink, but I think he's yelling at us to get out. Are you mad, bro?
He's like, yeah, they cut off the worm supply.
Right.
This is bullshit.
He's like, I can hear them scratching in there. They want to come out and be eaten. What?
Their tiny little noses crack me up.
Yeah.
So delicate.
What? Yeah, he's yelling at me. That's what it
A little
is.
growl in there.
You mad? Are you mad? Yeah. You don't know what to think of me right now. You just want dinner. I get cranky without dinner, too.
He's like, this weird lady is here, and more worms. This is stupid.
Get me out of here.
Does he bark more than the girls?
Yeah. He's like that grumpy old man that's like, get off my lawn.
Get out of my sandbox.
Right. Yeah. But they get along really well. His personality is more like Lucy's, where they're like the bosses. Mm-hmm. So Lucy and Ricky get along pretty well. Ricky gets along with everybody pretty much. But
he's the one you brought to the shop, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I get them confused.
If you don't really know, they look identical to most people. It's like somebody that has twins. You know, like a parent can tell them apart, but most people can't.
You're right.
So crabby. Meanwhile, Tank is just like, unimpressed with everything.
His face looks like a baby raccoon's face.
Yeah.
Even the profile, like his does more than hers does.
Yeah.
Oh.
He's like, I just want my dad to come back with the food.
Life is rough.
Yeah.
Oh. Pitiful. Do they bark at birds? Outside or anything?
See, my porch is covered, so I don't know if they've ever really seen a bird, but they'll bark at the cats that are outside.
Oh, yeah.
So like the strays and stuff. The one time Lucy, she had her 2 kits in there, and I was taking a video of them, and she looked outside and she saw one of the stray cats on the porch, and she barked, like a very low bark, but both kits just scattered.
Oh, wow.
Like they went and hid.
They knew.
Yeah, it was pretty cool to see that it was just this small warning bark. Yeah. And they were both like, oh, gotta go.
It's ingrained.
Right. It was really neat. What's the matter? Okay.
Do they have different voices?
Yeah. Yeah, I can tell the difference sometimes. Dro can usually tell the difference, even with mine.
Yeah.
Between the two, or between all three, or four.
Yeah.
But I have a harder time with it. You can tell when it's Lucy because it's constant high-pitched squealing. Like, she is a diva.
I'm always linking their videos on Reddit and stuff to people.
Aww.
And people in the store, too. I'm like, you gotta see these. You gotta hear them.
I'm glad that you're amused. Like, I am so amused by it.
Yeah.
So, like, that's why I started my YouTube channel. It's like, I'm going to be posting these and I'm annoying everybody I know anyways. So, I might as well post them for everybody to be annoyed by.
People do enjoy them. They're very unique.
They are. What?
If people know what they are, it's the fox from Zootopia.
Right, yeah. Yeah. And actually, people will search, like, Fennec with an I, or two I's instead of the E's, because it's Finnick and Fennec.
Yeah, in the movie, his name was Finnick.
Yeah. What's your phone?
Oh,
that's
put it up for you?
See, I was sitting there. I
I don't want her to put it on there.
Yeah, that would be bad.
See, I was sitting.
I thought they would steal it or something.
No.
Do they do that at all? Like take little things like a ferret would?
They
can.
Yeah. Like Ricky will always take, like a sock. Like he'll find something of mine to steal and run back to his room with it. And if I don't chase him, he will come back out with it, shake it at me, and then run again. He wants me to chase him.
Yeah.
Like he's doing it on purpose.
I have your property.
Right.
Come and get it.
Yeah, he loves the chase.
So their diet is kind of like how sugar gliders are, where people think you just feed them a kibble, but it's not like that.
Right, it shouldn't be like that. It's not like rounded enough, and it's not doesn't have the nutrients that they really need.
Yeah, makes sense.
Poor Tink. She's just like...
It's right here, Tink. Look.
That's why it's cool with the crested geckos, how Alan Rapace came out with that formula.
Yeah.
Because before
Let me give it to her up there. I think she's creeped out because there's a new person in here.
Oh, yeah.
You want this? Look. Here.
I should talk quieter.
There you go.
Before Rapace came out with those formulas,
Scout.
they had to like monitor the calcium stacks in the mouth
Scout.
and everything.
Yeah.
And you had to look
Come here.
at, just like with sugar gliders, you had to look
There
at
you go.
calcium phosphorus ratios, and it was really complicated, and it was really easy for people to just not give them what they need.
Yeah.
And now with that, it's just like, it's so easy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what Twiggy's on.
Yeah, good. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
I've had people try to do their own thing, and they start doing like, oh, we're doing baby food now. I'm like, you can do that, but you really need to watch what else you're putting in with it, because they will become deficient.
I always tell everyone when they ask me about stuff like that I never feed one food.
Yeah.
I never feed one food to my animals. Like, they always everything changes all the time. Everything's always going to be different over months. Like, sometimes I'll feed more roaches than worms. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I'll feed different species of roaches.
Right. Well, because seasonally in the wild, they wouldn't always be getting the same thing. There's going to be population explosions of a certain insect or another, maybe a lizard that has babies hatched that they would eat.
Mm-hmm. I've never fed any of mine lizards, have you?
I haven't, no.
It's
I just don't have the heart to do it because they don't really need to.
No,
the roaches will give them the same nutrition that they would get from the lizard in a sense. So
that's a lot of people don't get is in the wild they would eat that stuff, and that's why you supplement with calcium, because captive insects just aren't going to cut it. In the wild they're eating so much variety, we have to mimic that with what we can do.
Yeah.
I have like a whole dresser thing downstairs with like a bunch of calcium and multivitamin powders that I had from my shop left over, like when we shut down.
Oh, yeah.
So it's good because I like don't have to buy it for a long
they don't go
time.
Bad.
Yeah,
just keep them out of moisture and they're fine.
I had one that went moldy because it got wet. The rest of them were all good.
That's strawberry?
No, it's sweet potato.
Oh,
and carrots.
Yeah.
She's all concerned.
Oh.
She'll eat though.
Yeah, she'll be fine. As soon as we go out there, she'll be okay.
Have you had experience with 13-line ground squirrels ever?
No, but I have with the Prevost squirrels and like the ones that are in Florida. I forget what their species are, like the common ones there. But
Like the pocket gopher or something? Is that what's sounding? I don't know. I know what you mean. They're like little.
I have their skulls, but I have a couple that Luna caught in the yard.
We have a ground squirrel that somebody had brought us about 5 years ago, and it was an adult then and older, and like, so there wasn't a lot of info out there about them, and through the years more has become available, but I don't even know how old this thing is, but she's pretty cute. I never knew anyone that had another one.
It's at the shop, or
Yeah.
We'll have to come check it out.
Oh yeah, we'll have to get her out. She's handleable, but she has like claws kind of like a skunk would. They're like long and skinny, so she kind of like when you hold her, she'll kind of dig on you.
Oh yeah.
So that scares people because they think that she's trying to like chew on them, but she's really not. She's fast.
Do they nip at all too?
They can. Like she has kind of like gopher looking teeth, and they but she's not drawn blood or anything. It's a rodent, so I mean.
Well, they nip a lot, like especially the males. I noticed, like when they're growing up and they start getting that whole like love nip thing before they get it down till they know like whether it's hurting you or not. Yeah, they just do it really hard, and it's like they're attacking you. But like I would be sleeping at night, and this little butthead would come wake me up by like biting my toes or my arm or my face or something, and I'm like,
they see how they get a reaction, and they're like, "This is what makes you move."
Yeah. Because I would leave him free roaming in my room because he slept in the room with me.
Aww.
And he got along with my dog very well, so it was like he never really got locked up, you know?
Yeah.
And he would just attack me in my sleep to wake me up and play with him. Like, even if my hand was out, he would start, like, throwing himself against my hand.
Oh,
and then he would start nipping if I didn't start petting him.
Aww.
Now he prefers to be, to himself now that he's older.
Yeah.
And he's cool with them.
Yeah.
When he has his buddies around.
Maybe kind of like how some birds are, where when they're just with the human, they're more dependent on you for companionship, and then they kind of prefer their own species, so it makes sense.
Yeah, and we had that conversation not too long ago, because I noticed that with hers, since they live with other ones, like they have a completely different personality. Like they're more wild than him. He doesn't do a lot of this stuff. Like he does it when they're around more, but when they're not around, he's pretty quiet.
That's cool. They can exercise all those social behaviors. It's probably important to them.
Yeah.
It might even help with the breeding project because they're acting more natural. Yeah.
And he also grew up with that one, Spooky, which is Arctic fox.
Oh, he's so pretty.
Yeah, he was cool. He had epilepsy really bad, though, and unfortunately one day he started attacking himself, so I had to put him down.
Oh, man. Is that from their breeding because of how they've...
It could have been.
Yeah.
He also fell 2 stories when he was a baby.
Oh, my gosh.
And he, like, hit the ground, and I thought that maybe that had something to do with it, but it wasn't until 3 years later that he showed signs. So the vet said it probably had nothing to do with it, but it was something else that I could think of, that might have been an issue.
A fragile blood vessel that finally went.
Who knows? Yeah.
I had an African gray that would have seizures, and then when he all of a sudden one day he couldn't eat or drink or swallow, and he just could basically stand there. And he had been abused when we got him. He was blind in one eye, and that side of his head had old fractures. And then I guess when he had a stroke from it, and that's why he started. But it was a big thing. We had to have him on phenobarbital and stuff.
Oh yeah, that's what I had him on, Spooky.
Yeah.
I had like a huge bottle of it.
Yeah. They would only give me I had to drive to a pharmacy to get it, and they would only give me 2 weeks of it at a time, which was really annoying because it was like a 40-minute
Oh
drive.
yeah. Yeah, because humans can take it too.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. I took one to see what it would do, and I was walking into walls. So.
Oh no!
Well, basically, I saw that every time I gave it to him, he just got so loopy and he would start falling over and stuff.
Yeah.
So then I was like, what is this doing to him?
Right.
That it's so bad.
Yeah.
So I took it, and then I was like, oh, it's a sedative, pretty much. So it's like Valium and all that other stuff. Because when I went to the doctor the first time, you know Dr. K? Dr. Kelleher, she's on TV.
No.
She's on like Animal Planet stuff. She has her own show. But I took her there, and I had a really bad experience with her because she was pretty much judging me for, how I look with my tattoos and everything. So she thought that he got into like some sort of drugs or something, and that he was ODing, and that's why he was like
what an assumption
spazzing out. Yeah, and I got really upset, and because I was crying my eyes out, and she thought that I was wasted, and I'm like, I'm crying because my baby's having a seizure.
Yeah.
It was the first time I saw him have one.
That's heartbreaking.
So they gave him Valium. They shot him up with that, and it made him stop right away. So that's it. It was after like years though that they finally started giving him phenobar, because before that they had him on like a concoction.
That was scary.
And they argue.
You sound like a chimp in like an old movie or something.
That Scout, he screams a lot. It's his MO.
He's like, yeah.
He's like, I'm part
You done now?
It works.
It does work
I
for
give
him.
it away.
Yeah.
She's over here like, oh yeah. I'm just gonna move away now.
Yeah. Yeah, she's very just passive with all of them. Like, she's chill.
She's beautiful.
She's a sweetie.
She looks like a little cloud.
She does.
She's like, really? The judge face?
Yes.
Cloud, that's all you come up with.
I just have RBF, okay?
I know, I'm feeling the pain. I get it all the time. I've had to literally like train myself to smile more because I'm like, smile, it doesn't hurt. It does.
It hurts my soul.
What's wrong, Buttercup?
Oh, I love it.
Aw, her little tail. Is she kneading it like a cat?
She
oh my
did.
gosh.
I've actually not seen her do that before.
That was so freaking cute. Was she on video when she did that? Did you see her do it?
Part of it, just the end of it.
Oh my gosh.
I saw her turning, and I put the camera on her.
It was the cutest thing ever.
It was cute.
So content.
Yeah, she's just chill. She's just very relaxed.
He's so noisy of an eater. She didn't really make much noise, did she, when she ate?
No.
It seemed quieter. As they get older, do they get teeth problems like dogs?
His teeth are a little grimy from him being so old, but I
Yeah.
give him a lot of stuff that is hard enough to clean his teeth.
That's good.
And he's been doing really good with that stuff lately, like, the carrots and other hard stuff that'll knock that stuff off his tooth, like the bugs too.
Yeah, the shells, I imagine.
Yeah.
In the wild, what's their lifespan like?
4
yeah.
to 6. And he's like 10.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, they'll live to, like 13 around there sometimes, but it's very hard to get them to live that long. And when I got him, it was the same thing like you were talking about the other animals. Like, there's no real information about them out there. So it was very difficult to really know what to do other than what I learned to do from the people that I worked with, at the pet stores. But when I took him home, like, I wasn't even given any instructions or anything. It was just like, here you go, But and then when I worked with them, it was like I worked with some kids and I saw some adults and gotten to play with them, but I never had them in my house. So it was a huge experience change for me.
Oh, yeah.
But I did have him first, Spooky. So I understood what it was like to have a fox. I just didn't know the differences with the fennec.
Yeah.
Because it's very different from having a fox from the Arctic.
Oh, yeah. Probably understanding their habitat is a big part of it. Like any animal. We try to fit them into these any animal, not just, I'm not saying them, but we fit these pets into a little box of what we expect, and it's not always what's best for them.
Right.
There's so many new things that are always being developed. It's nice to see that happening too, and people like you even that are learning more about them every time. Mm-hmm. It's really cool.
Yeah, yeah. He's helped me a lot with like different diet ideas and stuff.
Oh yeah.
So. I love her face.
Do you work with any vets to help educate them too?
Well, the only vets that I used to talk to were like some of them in Florida, and then like I was saying, there were some of them that I was working with in the past that when I would work with them over the phone mainly, and then when they started seeing me in person, it became an issue where I was just not getting along with them anymore, and I just stopped.
They stereotype you?
Yeah, I just started doing like videos on the internet, and that has been way better for me than working with anybody in the field. Like, I work on the internet, and like people, you know, if I say something wrong or if I'm doing something wrong, I have the opportunity to go back and like correct myself
Sure.
and learn from other people who do have experience and stuff, instead of just learning from people who are like set in their ways.
Mm-hmm. Well, that says a lot about you too, that you are willing to say, "Hey, I wasn't quite right, and here's the right
Yeah,
info."
yeah. I
That's
mean,
really
in the
important.
beginning, when I was first making his food and stuff, I was giving him a lot of stuff that he probably shouldn't have had, you know. And then I found out later that it wasn't the best thing for him, and I changed it as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And he's still alive because of it,
Right.
you know.
Right.
He's old, but he's
Yeah.
doing okay. He's eating, and he chases me around.
Well, with any
Right,
pet
Scout?
or any lifestyle like that, you have to always be learning. You can't get set in your ways.
Right.
Definitely.
Anything new that
Yeah.
needs more research. And
Right. Be open to
information.
new stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and with wolf dogs too, I was originally taught that there were people who just said go ahead and get dog food and it's fine, and then I met with other people who had wolf dogs and asked them like, what do you feed them? Oh, just dog food, you know, and I would see like these huge fat
Oh yeah.
wolf dogs that were overweight. I saw one that was like 100 and the guy was saying 180 pounds, but I'm pretty sure it was more like 150. And he could barely walk because his legs were all messed up from the weight, you know.
See, and sometimes people use that to equate it to being a better or more cool, you know, because it's so large.
Yeah,
It's like
they're not supposed to
bigger's
be
not
that big.
better. Yeah, they're lean in the
Yeah,
wild.
and you got like Malamutes and stuff like that that get pretty big, and another mixes that they put with the wolf dogs. But when it comes to the way that they're supposed to be, like 90 to 110 pounds for the females, maybe 135 for the males, but they shouldn't really be huge like that. Like tall, yes. Lanky, yes, but not fat and big and bulky.
Yeah.
That just makes them unhealthy.
Especially if they're crossing them in with huskies or shepherds. You've got the joint issues.
Yep.
And that's another mistake. People want to bulk up their shepherd, and it's like, it's better for him to have lean muscle because those joints are not necessarily going to hold up the way you think they are.
Right.
Yeah, and in the summer when she loses her coat, like a lot of people always tell me, oh, she looks too skinny, you know, what happened? Why did she lose so much weight? And it's like, it's summertime.
Yeah.
And they look completely different.
A lot of people anymore are used to seeing overweight pets. And it's,
Yeah, I've seen that too, is people at the dog park where when they're like, oh, why is your dog so skinny? It's like, because every other dog here is fat.
Yeah, yeah.
Because they're all eating dog food.
Right?
Yeah.
So I give her like just chicken, you know,
Yeah.
and I'll give her dog food too, and I'll give her all sorts of stuff. But
Sure.
for the
Like
most
you said,
part,
variety.
yeah, for the most part, like she loves chicken. Like you can just give it to her with the bone and everything.
You do fresh, whole?
Fresh, yeah.
Wow.
Sounds like potato chips.
Yes, it sounds like potato
not,
chips.
I was
Yeah.
just like, ooh.
You ever do rabbit or anything?
Yeah,
That's
done
a nice,
rabbit.
like,
I've done
different-
deer and all sorts of stuff.
Sometimes you can get you ever get freezer burnt meat?
No, I've gotten stuff mainly from people who hunt or, you know, like actually there was a lady who had a whole freezer full of meat that was like 3 years old or something.
Yeah.
And she just didn't want it anymore. So she sold me the freezer and gave me all the extra
Nice.
parts. There was like tongue and
Yeah.
like, I made
Oh, they love
videos.
that stuff.
Yeah, I put them on my channel because
Right.
people were like, saying that it was crazy that she was just gobbling all of that down. The tongue was the worst because it was like super chewy.
Oh.
She was just like eating this cow tongue.
It probably sounded gross.
Yeah.
I've known a few people that have got meat for their animals that way, like just slightly freezer burned or slightly, you know, unpalatable for humans, but still not bad.
Yeah.
There's
Still
nothing
fine
wrong
for
with it. It
dogs
just
and-
doesn't look as pretty anymore.
Yeah.
Or some of those cuts that are just too tough or whatever. Thinking about it? Little eyebrows. They have a very expressive face.
Did she get any of the worms?
No, but if we open this thing.
Oh yeah. He's gonna come running for you.
Yes. I think based on how she's being for the actual video, maybe I'll bring over Lucy and
Okay.
Ricky. Maybe I'll take her home before that and then bring over Lucy and Ricky. Because between those two, I'm sure one of them's going to be more personable.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's really cool with you holding him up and stuff, but he's just so like old and fragile,
Yeah.
you know? But he's fine, like if you want to hold him for a little bit and stuff, like he's cool with it. He's probably the most chill out of all of them as far as like you can hold him without him trying to run away from you. The other ones will kind of try to push it because they're younger, so they're gonna be like, "Let me go, I want to run."
Yeah.
Especially her. She's not. They're hard to rehome, so. Yeah.
Yeah, she came from another home, right?
Well, she came from, she was with the breeder, the person I got them from, or got Lucy from, for, I think she was about 6 months old when I got her. So she had a hard time, though, but she was very close with her last owner, and it was a little harder, but, and then she had to deal with Lucy being a crazy. Like most sisters would be like, I haven't seen you in 6 months. What's going on? And Lucy's like just screaming at her.
Oh.
Oh, she came in later?
Yeah,
Okay.
Tink did, yeah. Yeah, I didn't get Tink as a baby. I got Ricky when he was about 10 months old,
Finally eating
but
now.
he had been used in like an educational outreach program like they
Yeah.
talked about, so he was a lot more used to people, but
He did pretty good at the store.
yeah, that was, I think, about 4 or 5 months after I got him.
Yeah.
So it took a long time to even be able to pet him.
Oh, wow.
Did you bring him in? You
Yeah,
brought him in there?
Yeah, I took him into the store.
It
And
was
he was
awesome.
good.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a couple customers got to pet him. It was fun. We have a, oh, it's okay. Scared me. We had it on our Facebook page and stuff, and I still refer back to it. People like to see it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I'm like, go like the YouTube channel.
Yeah. They're fun, but it's people have to know what they're getting into with them.
Oh, yeah.
To rehome them is difficult.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, with any pet it would be, but especially with them, and once they know who their people are.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I could never see Scout being completely rehomed.
Right. You know, he'd never be okay.
Probably the older they get, the rougher that would be on them, too.
Yeah. Hi, baby.
I was telling her he looks like a baby raccoon in the face. Even
Yeah.
his profile. More than her. She doesn't really, I don't think, as much, but he really does.
Yeah.
I think it's the
shorter.
nose.
Yeah. Her snout's shorter than his.
Mhm.
That should be.
He has like a little scoop in it.
Yeah.
He looks more like
him.
more like Lucy.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a regional thing, like where their ancestors came from? Maybe?
I think so. I think it might have to do with like the breeder, the original breeders
Bloodlines.
too, like where they came from and
Mhm.
stuff.
See, but Lucy and Tink are sisters, and they don't look that much alike. You know, like their personalities are also very different.
I guess just like
Yeah, but like Falcor came out and he was a Siamese and his parents weren't and none of his siblings were, so
Yeah, so it could be from different lines that are coming out or
Yeah.
whatever at that point.
Yeah, the color point gene can be weird. It's because it's temperature linked, which is kind of interesting.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
That's
it
so
has
cool.
to do with the cold areas of the body that get darker.
yeah,
I didn't
and
know that.
to draw in heat. We were talking about that with the gecko and you were
Oh
telling me
yeah,
that.
with the gecko, but I
It's
didn't
similar,
realize
but-
that- yeah, that's so cool.
But they do it on their own, but
Mhm.
they're born with it genetically to change their fur color for it.
That's pretty cool.
Her face is so funny right now.
So judgy.
She looks very smug.
It does. We need to meme that. Like somebody needs to screenshot that and stuff that as a meme.
Judgy Fox is judging you.
Right.
I like your wall color in here. It's pretty.
I didn't pick it.
I like it. It's nice.
We were gonna actually repaint in here because I wanted to redo this whole room for them,
Yeah.
And since I moved here, I haven't been able to do like the whole room yet, but little by little, I'm starting to build it out because I want to do this whole thing here with sand for them.
Oh, that would be awesome. You could do like a mural, a desert scene or something.
Yeah, and I talked about that too because I got the expanding foam stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So what I was gonna do is actually get the foam and create fake rocks and
Mhm.
put sand all around it and everything too. Paint them, non-toxic stuff, and
That would be
put a seal in
really
it.
neat.
It would be really cool to be able to set that all up for them so that they can like jump around on it and
Yeah.
have little hidey holes and whatever.
Feel more like a fox.
Yeah, and I have this stuff down on the ground now, temporary, but eventually it'll just be like the tarp, and then so the wood doesn't get damaged, and then I'll put everything over the tarp. So, like with this stuff, I just scoop it up,
Yeah.
all the sand.
What about like a big rubber pond liner? Like,
Yeah, that would work too. I mean, the tarp is like nothing really goes through it,
Yeah.
and the sand usually catches everything, and I can just sift it. So it's not that big of a deal as far as having something thick enough,
Mhm.
and they don't dig through it. Like I've never had them put a hole in this tarp,
Oh, that's good.
so it's
That's
not
what I
an
was
issue.
thinking with the foam, if they would like chew on it or something. Not, it's non-toxic, but still, if it made it look chewed or something. But yeah, but like you could see the wood shelves and stuff. They're not gnawing on it. That's nice.
Yeah, this wood that I have in here, there was some more bark like that was coming off loose, and like this, and
wood.
yeah, they just chew it off and rip it off to look for bugs.
Right, because that's a natural behavior. So that's
Yeah.
important.
So I always, when I'm sifting, I always pick up those pieces out, and I notice there's so much of it missing now.
Yeah.
Lucy did it a lot.
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah, Lucy was grabbing it at it right away.
Her and Ricky are the most destructive of all four, for sure. I'm going to do a video on that about how destructive they can be. I have several clips of Ricky peeing on my couch, lifting his leg and peeing on it. And I'm going to put that in there. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yep. So I'm going to put that in there and then the holes.
He doesn't.
Holes, but...
Really?
He never has.
Huh. I guess some dogs don't either.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he's also dug, like, not through a wall, but into the actual drywall. Like, ripped all the paint off that, like, top layer of the drywall.
Yeah.
Pulled all that off. And, I mean, they're destructive, and I knew that getting into it, but people need to see that part of it, too.
There's always multiple sides to having an exotic.
Right. Because, like we've talked about, most of my videos are the happy things with the foxes, like Lucy playing with Kaden, which is adorable.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, yeah, those happy little moments that are cute and sweet, but then there's those other things that people need to see, too. So
definitely.
Did you tell her, like, the video that you tried to shoot originally and how it failed?
Those little buttheads. I started a video. That's the one I was telling you about. I finally put myself in a video.
Yeah.
It was such a fail.
Oh, no.
I introduced it, like, I'm like, okay, I'm going to show you the bad things about them. And I walked back there, and it was Lucy and Ricky. And they were the cutest they've ever been in my life.
They have to prove you wrong.
Right, yeah, because I'm sitting, like, on my knees and like trying to take a video, so I'm like this, and Lucy comes over and just flops backwards in between my legs, and it's like, hello. Like, you little, like, she's never done that, but she had to, because she was like, I heard you say that I'm bad sometimes. No, I'm not.
Can't let people believe these things.
Right.
That's funny.
Look, I'm an angel. I don't know who peed all over your floor, put holes in your walls.
Too funny.
Yeah. So that was episode 1
of a series.
Yeah.
Did you put it up?
I did. I was like, I promise you.
I didn't see that one. I'll have to go find it now.
Yeah. They're such brats. But it was Lucy and Ricky both come running over and flopping on their backs, and they're like,
"Aww."
They just wanted to prove you wrong.
They did. They're like, look, we are brats, but nobody's going to know. There's no hiding the damage they've done.
Jeez. Don't lie, it was you chewing on the wall.
Right? I'm in there like, I've got to make this look awful.
I'm curious to see how Ricky is going to be here. I'm probably going to have to unplug all this stuff, huh?
No, he's gotten really good about
he's better about it? Awesome.
He unplugs things? Oh my god.
Yeah, your ozone machine was his favorite thing to tear apart.
Is it bad in here? Does it smell like really bad or strong or anything?
No, I didn't smell anything,
cool.
Honestly.
Because I cleaned it out, like her pee was starting to smell really bad, and I think it was more of like a marking territorial thing. Because it was different with Lucy here, and with him by himself, there's no smell.
Yeah.
With her, there's like a pretty strong smell when it's not completely clean in here, you know?
Maybe like a hormonal thing even.
Yeah, but then after like a few, what was it? Has it been a week? Something like that?
Probably about a week since she's been here, you mean?
Yeah, and after like a while of her being here, it just stopped really smelling as bad as when she first came.
Yeah.
So but her diet's been the same.
She was kind of controlling, like she wanted it to smell more like her.
Yeah.
Wow.
And she had gotten a little bit more confrontational with Lucy recently.
Huh.
So,
interesting.
So yeah, so it could have been that she wanted her space. And,
it's like a dominance thing.
Yeah.
What do you keep their like basking area at, their temperature?
Well, normally it's like in the 90s. I have the window open right now and the fan going because, like I said, I just cleaned in here, so I didn't want it to like smell really bad or anything. But
yeah, I didn't smell anything.
I just always get concerned because I don't have like a good sense of smell. So I'm like, I don't know if people are gonna think it
I will
smells.
tell you, it was not. It was good. I didn't notice anything.
Yeah, when I had my shop, I got the ozone machine at Flare,
Oh,
and those things are awesome. Like as long as that the ceramic plates in them are clean, you won't smell anything.
Yeah.
Like your whole shop would be. I mean, your shop doesn't smell, but I'm
Thank
saying
you.
like as far as
well, there's always this. Even like we were in a store recently that has no animals.
Mhm.
And my sister noticed, she said, it smells like a pet store, but there's no animals. So I think a lot of that smell that people attribute to being a store is maybe like the pine bedding and the cat and dog food and that kind of.
Yeah, that could be.
I think that's a lot of what people attribute to it because
Yeah, that's true.
we clean every cage every day. You know, like the bedding all goes and the rodents and everything. So I know it couldn't be, you know, when you have ferrets and stuff, especially young ferrets, the young ferrets smell more than an adult. It's like, again, a hormonal thing. Even though they're neutered, the young ones still have more of a smell. So, I'm always paranoid about that. I'm like, oh, are people going to think it stinks?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to some shops that do actually smell because I
Yeah.
can even smell it, and it's like they just don't clean up.
Right. You
But-
got ammonia. That ammonia is almost like more of a feeling than a smell. Like
Yeah,
you
like
feel
burns
the
your
ammonia.
eyes.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, like when people don't clean out their mice bin
Yes.
or their rat bins, you know, and it
The
just gets really
mustiness of
bad.
it, yeah.
Or, you know, some pet stores that also have like saltwater tanks or anything
They've
like
got
that.
like a wet dry filter that's got crud in it.
That or spilled water that just
Oh, yeah.
starts rotting stuff. But
Yeah.
anyway, it's like those machines are great though. They keep everything clean, but they're just it's a lot of upkeep. Like you got to constantly clean them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's part of the routine, you know. That's something I've been thinking of looking into. But we don't have dogs either. I think the dogs contribute a lot to the stink in stores if they have puppies go in the bathroom all the time. But we don't do that, so.
Yeah, you just have the cats now, right?
Yeah.
And that's new for you?
We used to do the kittens. We did it on our own. We got them spayed and neutered and did all the medical care and then adopted them out. And they were all local rescue cats. But it got to be kind of overwhelming with people bringing so many. And then they would expect that you had to take them.
Oh, yeah.
And then it wasn't... We solved a lot of problems for those individual cats. But then I was thinking... It's like it's a guilt-free place to just bring more. And they know that they're going to be taken care of and they're going to get a good home. So then some of those people just weren't bothering to fix the cats. They're mothers, you know. So I was like, you know, this is kind of a crutch, I think.
Yeah.
It's like that starfish story, you know, like it made a difference for those 1,000 or so kittens we got homes for. But then what about the ones that didn't get spayed because they just were like, oh, well, they'll just take them. So,
Yeah.
But now we do it with Angels for Animals, and we just take resident cats that have been there longer than 6 months. We don't do any kittens because we want them to make room for more cats.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so we've since
Well,
August.
kittens are easy.
Exactly, and I'm like, you know, we could rehome kittens every day from the shelter if we did that, but we're doing all cats some of them have been in the shelter for 6-7 years. So some of them were return cats that, you know, came back to the shelter. So all of them have been older cats.
That's awesome.
Yeah, some of them we keep 3 in our unit at a time. The unit is, I think, 16 feet long, and they have tunnels, like holes. They can
We
go
saw
through.
them, yeah.
Yeah,
We
so
went by
it's
them.
nice because they're not in cages, really. So they can go wherever they want, and we've had people adopt even all 3. They're just like, they all get along so well, I want to take all 3.
Yeah, that's cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. We've had some cats that just, a lot of the ones that we get don't get along with other cats at the shelter. The other cats are bullying them.
Yeah.
So they don't show well. The shelter nobody's looking at them because they're always hiding.
Yeah.
But they're an awesome cat. So you have the opportunity, they're front and center, and people are like, oh, this black cat is the best cat I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And at the shelter, they're like, oh, it's one of 300 black cats or whatever. Not that many, but 30, you know.
Yeah.
So we've been happy. But yeah, since August, we found homes for 12.
Cool.
So, yeah,
Great.
all older.
That's great.
Yeah, I think our youngest we found home for was like a year. But he still had been there since he was a kid. So.
Yeah.
One went the other day I think she was 7. So.
There was one at the animal hospital we went to for Troy the other day, a black cat that, but they wanted like $100 for it, which I understand. It's like for all the stuff that they've done medically, but that's kind of a lot for someone to adopt an animal.
Yeah.
You know.
Especially when there's so many.
And it's an older one too. It's not like a kitten or anything. So.
Yeah, it's not like there's a shortage of cats, that you need to charge premium. Like the ones we have right now are $37.50.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, and they're spayed and neutered, they're microchipped, they have all the shots, the wormings, the flea and ear mite treatment, they're FELV, FIV negative, so there's nothing they need to do.
We'll have to go by there and like do a live stream and show
cool.
the animals and stuff.
That'd be really
because
cool.
I think people would think that's awesome, like to see what you guys have there.
Well, thank you. Especially coming from people like you guys, that means a lot.
Yeah. Well, I liked your store. She brought me in there, and I was like, it's really nice. It's clean, and all the animals look really healthy. So.
Thank you. We try.
And the gecko's doing good.
Yeah.
Twiggy the gecko.
Those are one
That's
of my
where he came from.
favorites for people to get as a family reptile. Cresteds are just, I think, for families and kids, they're just one of the best reptile pets.
They're just so easygoing for the most part.
Yeah, and people can do, it's minimal care as far as reptiles go, and still they will thrive. Like there's so many cool reptiles, but they need so much intense care, and most people just aren't willing to do it.
Right.
So.
Yeah, when his tail ended up dropping, I put it in the freezer for. Oh, you did for the resin stuff?
Yeah.
She was telling me, that'll be fun.
I feel like that made it a little easier for Kaden because she was so upset about it, but then knowing that she was going to do a cool craft, it helped. Yeah, it helped make everything okay.
She's crossing her legs.
She's a lady, okay?
So pretty. Aw, she knows she's pretty. Sure.
And he's out cold, almost.
Oh, sure. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Does he sleep more, you find?
Oh, yeah. He sleeps a lot more. During the day, he does get up every once in a while and to like scratch at the door. And that's usually when he wants me to come in here and either play with him or feed him.
Yeah.
So I know because like he's quiet most of the time with her just hanging out, and it's just when he needs something or when something's happening that I really hear him anymore. And they talk sometimes, like I hear them communicating and like making little weird sounds. And we're always like, if she's over here hanging out, I'm always like, are they gonna breed? Are they gonna do something?
You think he could at his age?
No, I think he's too old. But we did leave him with Lucy in here, and she's, it's that time of her month, so she's gonna. Hopefully they did something. If not, maybe she did with Ricky.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Are they an induced ovulator like some other things, or you said they do have a heat cycle? So.
Yeah, but they'll just usually do it. The hardest part about it is keeping them alive when they have the babies.
Yeah. Okay.
But like getting them to have the babies isn't as hard, As long as you keep the temperatures right and everything for them, they'll do it.
You don't have to do like a reduction in temperature, like a rainy season. You're like,
you don't have
spraying
to.
The room down.
No, it helps. Like if they're not breeding and you do it, it helps. But you don't have to do it. Like it's not necessary.
And it's typically in like the spring to summer when they're born.
Yeah, like I guess a lot of mammals are that way, really.
Yeah, because otherwise they'll die in the winter from the cold if they're babies.
How cold does it get where they live in the winter?
I think it drops down to the 50s. Sometimes, maybe 40s.
Yeah, but still, it's hot. I mean, it's a desert. It's still hot during the day. So.
Yeah.
So they're used to those extremes.
Yeah.
But they'll go and burrow, if it's cold, and then if they're in a little hole in the ground, they're just gonna stay warm.
Yeah. Maybe if it's hot too, do they burrow to even get like a tortoise?
Yeah, they'll do that too. And also, their ears being so big, it dissipates a lot of the heat because it helps catch all the wind and stuff too.
And that's why they can't be in the cold, really. They lose heat so quickly.
Oh, I imagine.
But then their feet are fuzzy on the bottom, so
the
sand doesn't
like
burn
a rabbit.
Yeah. So the sand doesn't burn them.
Wow.
And it helps them grip on better too when they're running.
Sure.
It's cool. Like just finding out all the cool stuff about them that like you would never really notice generally by looking at them. Like why their bodies are built the way they are. Except for that one girl who tries to say that they're vegetarians or they're vegans.
Oh, the lady. Tell her about the lady.
Yeah, there's some chick who's going around making videos about how her fennec is a vegan. And so she's strictly a vegan diet and it's totally okay. And her doctor says it's okay. And I don't agree with that, but whatever. I mean, I can't change her thoughts,
There was a vet that got sued recently because they promoted a vegan diet for a cat and it killed it because of there's no taurine in the diet.
That's the problem with them a lot too, and they think that even substituting it's okay. But there's a difference between the synthetic and the so you know.
Right, that wouldn't be Yeah, I think people should put those kind of beliefs on an animal that's an obligate carnivore. That's not really fair.
Yeah, and
that's
have
that pet if you don't want to.
I agree 100%. And I made a video about that and I said the same thing. And a lot of people have that same argument, but with them, like if you just look at the way they're built, they're not built to just eat vegetation.
No.
Like they'll eat it when they have to or when it's around, but it's mostly to get water or because nothing's around.
Right.
Like those are their reasons.
You don't want to put them in a constant survival mode of this is all there is to eat. So
yeah, and plus like her fox may be doing great now, but in about 2 years from now when all the parts of its system start shutting down, it's a different story.
Right. Like the Crestons, when people feed them just baby food, and then they don't understand why a year later they're like, well, I've been doing that all this time and it was fine.
Right.
And now it can't move because its bones are
Sorry, I'm just turning off the fan.
Yeah, it's a build-up. It's not something...
Yeah,
I didn't mean to scare you.
Right, like if I eat too much candy, I might get sick right away. But if I eat Burger King all day, every day for a year, I'm not going to get sick the first time, but by the end of it, I'm going to be very sick.
Yeah. Like I tell people with dog and cat food even, like, you know, when you're feeding higher quality compared to low quality, you'll survive on McDonald's. Right. But you're not going to thrive on it, and you're not going to have a really great, healthy life eating the same McDonald's every day.
Right.
Just like the pets, you know, like you said, if they're not getting all that variety, it's just not, their body isn't going to function right.
Right. Lucy would eat fruit all day, every day if I would let her, but that's not the best thing for her.
I'm glad he was actually up until recently really, really picky. So even if I gave him stuff he wasn't supposed to eat, more so than not, he wouldn't eat it.
Oh, wow.
The only thing that he really enjoyed that he wasn't supposed to have was like if I was eating cereal, like Frosted Flakes or something like, or not Frosted Flakes, what's
like mini wheats?
Yeah, like the mini wheats with the frosting on it or something. He would go nuts and try to attack me over them. Or like KFC chicken when I used to eat meat. Like he would jump up and take it from my hand, like just to get the skin and the meat. But it's so oily, it's like bad for them. But something in the smell would drive him nuts.
Yeah.
Pizza crust, same thing.
He knows what tastes good.
Yeah.
We crave fats, you know, people do too.
Yeah.
Once he tried it, that was it. Like her head peeking out.
Yeah. Well.
I know, I see it.
She's like Wilson. Like, remember from
Home Improvement? Yeah. Do they do that eye squint like cats do when they're like feeling trusting and they do that?
Thank you. I love you.
She was just talking about that too.
I've always said that I felt like they did, but nobody I've talked to has ever said that. So,
but we got it on video.
Yeah, we got it on video of I think it was it Tink or was it Lucy that did it?
I don't remember.
I don't know, but one of them was in the sandbox and just did that like slow blink.
I saw her do it. That's why I asked, because I was like, it reminded me of how it's like a trust thing when the cats do the slow blink.
Yeah.
And then you do it back, and they keep doing it, and you're like, I'm communicating with you. Right.
I see a snout. I see a snout under the door.
She's like, okay, bye. I think busted.
Yeah.
Not here.
She ran
I
off.
did not see anything.
But yeah, like I've noticed that with mine. Like Lucy does it a lot. Ricky will do it too. Tink doesn't do it quite as much, but I've noticed that when they're feeling a little bit more comfortable, it seems like that's when they do it. Or trying to make a friend or something.
Yeah. Maybe I don't know, maybe she thought she would see what I would react with, and she's like, are you going to do it back?
Right. Do you like me?
Yeah. Oh, pretty girl. She's like posing now.
I got some really good pictures of her the other day because she was like posing over here in the corner.
The snail's back.
Is it back?
It's right there.
It is back. The snout. The Luna snout.
What are you guys doing? Can I come in with some dinner? I swear I'll just take a worm. She's so funny.
Is that weird lady still in there? She smells like lizards.
She's silly. She just wants all the attention all the time. Is what it is.
So did you want to get any videos or anything?
Yeah, let's just do it Wednesday.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
You wanted to
I'm
get done
having
before
fun.
Wednesday.
It was nice to, spend time and stuff.
Yeah, and you can kind of see the layout and
Yeah.
where you want to do the videos.
Right.
I'll show you also, like, I'm gonna end the stream in a minute, and then I'll show you all the equipment I have that we can shoot with, and we can get an idea of what you want to do. That way, I'll have everything set up and ready to go when you come, and it'll be easy. You just shoot your video, and then we can hang out or whatever you want to do.
I'm excited. It's really cool.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
I think, honestly, when you told me that you
All right, bye guys. I'm gonna get going so I can set up all the stuff or show her what I have, and we're gonna shoot a video later, and then maybe we'll post some more stuff on the channel. Thank you guys for hanging out. I'll talk to you guys later.